The sterile white of Maxwell Ward's office always made my skin crawl. It wasn't a clean, inspiring white. It was the white of a hospital room, the kind where bad news is delivered in hushed, regretful tones. Today, it lived up to its reputation. "Zara," Maxwell started, his voice smooth, almost oily. He didn't look up from the tablet in his hands, fingers swiping across the screen with a casual disinterest that made my stomach clench. "As you know, Vertex Innovations is undergoing a strategic realignment." "Strategic realignment? Corporate speak for you're fired." I gripped the edges of the uncomfortable guest chair, the cheap plastic digging into my palms. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. This couldn't be happening, not after everything. "We've assessed our current projects and, well, your role on the NOVA initiative is being made redundant." He finally looked up, his eyes the color of a stormy sea, devoid of any warmth. No apology, no flicker of remorse, just cold, hard dismissal. Redundant. My voice was barely a whisper. Nova was my baby. My design, my code, my late nights fueled by lukewarm coffee and a desperate need to prove myself. The app that was supposed to revolutionize user experience. The one he'd paraded in front of the board last week, taking all the credit. But Nova is almost complete. I've poured everything into it. He leaned back, the expensive leather of his chair creaking in protest. "Yes, and your contribution, in its initial stages, was noted." The condescension dripped from his words like poison. "But the project has evolved. We need a different skill set moving forward." Rage, hot and sharp, pricked at the back of my eyes. My vision swam. I thought of the endless nights, the weekends sacrificed, the way he'd praised my ideas in private, only to present them as his own in meetings. A different skill set? Or did you just finally figure out how to take all the credit without needing me around anymore? The words were out before I could stop them, raw and accusatory. Maxwell's perfectly sculpted eyebrow arched, a sliver of annoyance quickly masked. "Zara, I understand this is disappointing, but such accusations are unprofessional and frankly baseless. The decision is final." He gestured towards the door with a flick of his wrist, a king dismissing a bothersome peasant. "HR will process your severance. Security will escort you out." My severance, for years of my life, my creativity, my soul. The walk out of Vertex Tower was a blur. Each step felt like wading through thick mud. The cheerful greetings of former colleagues I passed in the hallway, oblivious to the bomb that had just detonated in my life, were like tiny paper cuts on an open wound. Rain had started to fall, a miserable drizzle that matched the grayness in my soul. The city lights smeared across the wet pavement, a distorted reflection of the success I thought I'd been building. My designs, my code, my future, stolen. I stood at the curb, the rain plastering my hair to my face, a cheap, oversized company umbrella doing little to shield me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably my mom, wondering if I'd be home for dinner. How could I tell her? How could I admit that the golden opportunity, the one I'd bragged about, had crumbled to dust? A horn blared. I looked up, a blinding light rushing towards me. Not the gentle glow of a street lamp, but the harsh, unyielding glare of headlights. My mind, still reeling from Maxwell's betrayal, was too slow to react. I remembered the squeal of tires, a horrifying sound that seemed to rip through the fabric of the evening. Then, a shattering impact. Pain, white-hot and absolute, exploded through me. And then, nothing. Just a cold, encroaching darkness. A gasp tore from my throat. I sat bolt upright, my body slick with a cold sweat that wasn't from the rain. My heart thundered, a frantic drum against my ribs. Where was I? Not a hospital, not the cold, unforgiving pavement. Sunlight streamed through a window, painting stripes across a small, unfamiliar room. A dorm room? My gaze darted around. A desk cluttered with textbooks I vaguely recognized, a brightly colored, slightly childish bedspread. My hand flew to my head. No pain, no blood. I felt whole, confused but whole. My eyes landed on a calendar tacked to the wall, a generic kittens in baskets calendar. The date circled in red pen, August 28th, 2018. 2018? No, that wasn't possible. That was 5 years ago. The day I started my internship at Vertex Innovations. The day I first walked into that sterile white building, full of hope and ambition, completely unaware of the viper's nest I was stepping into. The day I first met Maxwell Ward, my breath hitched. Was this some kind underscore of elaborate dream, a hallucination brought on by the accident? I pinched myself hard. The sting was real, too real. I scrambled out of bed, my legs shaky. My reflection in the cheap, full-length mirror on the back of the door stared back at me. A younger Zara, rounder in the face, eyes wide and unlined by years of stress and disappointment. The Zara who still believed in fairness and hard work paying off. The Zara who hadn't yet been broken. My laptop sat on the desk. With trembling fingers, I flipped it open. The startup screen chimed, a sound I hadn't heard in years. The date on the screen confirmed it, August 28th, 2018. It wasn't a dream, it wasn't a hallucination. I was back. Back on my first day as an intern. A wave of emotions crashed over me, disbelief, terror, and then a slow burning ember of something else. Something that felt dangerously like hope. No, not just hope. Opportunity. I remembered everything. Every stolen idea, every condescending remark, every bit of credit Maxwell had taken. I remembered the sting of termination, the cold finality of his dismissal, the searing pain of the accident, but now I had a second chance. A chance to do things differently. A chance to protect my work. A chance to ensure that Maxwell Ward would never ruin me again. A slow smile spread across my face, the first genuine smile in what felt like an eternity. He thought he was mentoring an intern. He had no idea he was dealing with someone who knew his entire playbook. This time, things would be different. This time, I'd be ready. Okay, Maxwell, I whispered to my reflection, a newfound fire in my eyes. Let's play. Walking into Vertex Innovations for the first time is a surreal experience. The familiar, slightly too cold lobby, the imposing marble reception desk, the subtle scent of industrial cleaner mixed with something vaguely floral, it all floods back. Last time, or rather the first time, I was a bundle of nerves and excitement, clutching my worn satchel like a lifeline. Today there's a cold knot of determination in my stomach. I know this building, I know these people, and I know their secrets. The HR orientation is a tedious blur. I nod, smile, fill out forms I've filled out before, my hand moving on autopilot. My real focus is on the faces around me. There's Ben, from accounting, who'd later be fired for embezzlement. Good to know, Sarah, from marketing, who would eventually launch her own successful agency potential ally. And then there are the other interns. Among them, Chloe. Chloe, with her perfectly styled hair and a Gucci keychain dangling from her bag, who knew everyone's business and wasn't afraid to share it. In my past life, I'd found her intimidatingly cliquey. This time I see her as a potential information goldmine. And then he walks in. Maxwell Ward, my breath catches. He looks younger, less burdened by the corporate machinations he'd later perfect. But the arrogance is already there, lurking beneath a veneer of charming professionalism. He's here to give the welcome speech to the new intern cohort. Welcome to Vertex Innovations, he begins, his voice that smooth, practiced baritone I remember so vividly. You are the brightest minds, chosen from hundreds of applicants, and we expect great things from you. Liar. He expects us to fetch coffee and make copies, and if one of us accidentally stumbles upon a good idea, he'll pluck it like a ripe fruit and call it his own. I force a suitably impressed, slightly awestruck expression onto my face. It's a role I have to play, and I have to play it perfectly. Later, when he officially meets the tech interns, he singles me out. Zara Collins, is it? Impressive resume for an intern. Top of your class, I see. He offers his hand, a firm, confident grip. His touch sends an involuntary shiver down my spine, a ghost of the man who would destroy my career. Thank you, Mr. Ward, I say, my voice carefully modulated to sound eager and a little starstruck. I'm just really excited to learn from the best. His lips curve into a self-satisfied smirk. Hook, line, and sinker. Excellent attitude. We value proactive learners here. I'll be overseeing your department. Don't hesitate to come to me with any brilliant insights. The way he says brilliant insights is laced with a subtle mockery, as if the idea of an intern having one is preposterous. Oh, you have no idea, Maxwell. My designated cubicle is a small gray box in a sea of identical gray boxes. Liam, a senior developer with kind eyes and perpetually messy hair, is my assigned mentor. I remember Liam. He was one of the few genuinely decent people at Vertex, always willing to help, always overshadowed by Maxwell's bluster. In my previous life, I'd been too intimidated to really connect with him. This time, he's a lifeline. "Hey, Zara," he says, offering a friendly smile. "Welcome aboard. Don't let the grayness get you down. The coffee's usually fresh, at least." "Thanks, Liam," I say, genuinely meaning it. "I'm looking forward to working with you." My first task is a simple debugging assignment. Tedious, something I could do in my sleep. But I take my time, feigning the occasional struggle, asking Liam a few basic questions. I need to appear like a bright but inexperienced intern, not someone who's already built complex applications. Throughout the day, I'm a sponge, but not for the technical knowledge I already possess. I'm absorbing the office dynamics, the hushed conversations, the alliances, and rivalries. Chloe, true to form, makes a beeline for me at lunch. "So Zara, right? Heard Maxwell was pretty impressed with you," she says, stirring her salad with a delicate fork. Her eyes are sharp, assessing. "Oh, he was just being nice, I think," I reply, adopting a humble act. "It's all pretty overwhelming." "Tell me about it," she sighs dramatically. "This place is a shark tank. But you stick with me. I'll show you who to avoid and who to, she winks, network with." "I'd appreciate that, Chloe," I say, offering a grateful smile. Phase 1 of cultivating Chloe, complete. The most crucial part of my day, however, happens in the quiet moments. Every email, every instruction from Maxwell, every casual conversation where he outlines an idea. Usually one he'll later claim as his document. I forward copies of important emails to a private, encrypted account. I make notes on my personal device, time-stamped and detailed. My past self was naive, trusting. My current self is a meticulous archivist of my own intellectual property. When Maxwell calls me into his office at the end of the day to discuss my progress, I'm ready. "So, Zara," he says, leaning back in that damn chair, "how was your first day? Not too intimidated by the pace here?" "It was challenging, Mr. Ward, but in a good way," I reply, injecting just the right amount of rookie enthusiasm. I actually had a small thought about the user interface for that new client portal everyone's been talking about. Just a tiny idea, probably nothing. I sketch out a minor UI improvement, something genuinely trivial that I know will make his life slightly easier. It's bait. He studies it, a thoughtful frown on his face. Not bad, Collins. Not bad at all. Needs refinement, of course, but there's a kernel of something there." He taps the sketch. "Let me mull this over. Good initiative." Translation: he'll present it as his own in tomorrow morning's team meeting, and I'll let him, for now. Each small theft, meticulously documented, will be another nail in his coffin. Leaving the office that evening, the city lights seem sharper, clearer. The rain from my memories is gone. There's a crispness in the air, a sense of purpose thrumming through me. This time, I'm not a victim. I'm a strategist. And the game has just begun. The emotional toll is there, a dull ache beneath the surface, the constant vigilance, the facade, the bitter taste of past betrayals replaying in my mind. But it's fuel now, not a weight. It's the fire that keeps me going. The next few weeks pass in a blur of feigned learning and genuine scheming. I become Maxwell's star intern. I absorb his wisdom, nodding thoughtfully at his pronouncements, asking just enough insightful questions to make him feel like a brilliant mentor. "You're a fast learner, Collins," he'd say, a pleased expression on his face, after I mastered a concept he'd explained poorly. "Remind me of myself at your age." I'd just smile and thank him, biting back the urge to tell him that I'd forgotten more about coding than he'd ever known. He starts giving me more complex tasks, things he clearly expects me to struggle with, and I do, just enough. I make calculated errors, then discover the solutions after much effort, often subtly guiding the projects towards the elegant designs I'd originally created in my past life. He, of course, takes the credit for the breakthroughs, attributing them to his guiding hand. You see, Zara, he'd explain, pointing at my own code, if you just approach the problem from this angle, the solution becomes clear. It's about strategic thinking. Wow, Mr. Ward, that's brilliant. I wouldn't have thought of that, I'd say, my voice dripping with admiration. His ego inflates like a hot air balloon. Perfect. Meanwhile, in the evenings, my small dorm room transforms into a secret innovation lab. Fueled by cheap instant noodles and an unshakable resolve, I begin to build Aura. It's not just a replica of Nova, the app Maxwell stole. It's better, faster, more intuitive, with features I'd only dreamed of adding before. This is my real work, my passion, my escape hatch. Each line of code is a quiet act of defiance. I document every step of Aura's creation with painstaking detail. Date-stamped files, version control, video recordings of my progress. This isn't just an app, it's my alibi and my weapon. My relationship with Liam strengthens. He's genuinely impressed by my rapid development. We often eat lunch together, discussing code, a shared passion. You really have a knack for this, Zara, he tells me one afternoon, looking over a particularly tricky piece of code I'd just figured out. You pick things up faster than any intern I've seen. I just have a good teacher, I'd say, gesturing vaguely towards Maxwell's office, and Liam would give a non-committal grunt. He knows Maxwell. He doesn't say anything negative, but the lack of praise is telling. I start confiding in him, not about the future, of course, but about my ideas, my aspirations. He listens, offers genuine advice, and becomes a quiet supporter. He sees my potential, even if he doesn't know the half of it. Chloe, on the other hand, becomes my ears on the ground. We have regular girly chats over coffee, where she dissects the office hierarchy and gossip with surgical precision. So, I heard Maxwell was crowing about that new algorithm fix in the team lead meeting, she'd say, sipping her latte. Claimed he pulled an all-nighter figuring it out. Funny, I saw you looking pretty bleary-eyed that morning. She winks. Just trying to keep up, I'd say with a sigh. Chloe knows the score, or at least she suspects it. She doesn't like Maxwell, few people genuinely do. And she seems to enjoy the subtle drama of his credit stealing. Through her, I learn about upcoming projects, internal politics, and Maxwell's vulnerabilities. Information is power, and Chloe is a veritable power station. The first time Maxwell blatantly steals a significant piece of my work in this new timeline, it's a small module for an internal tool. It's not Nova, not yet, but it's a clear, undeniable theft. He presents it in a department meeting, my name conveniently absent from the slides. This was a tricky one, he says, beaming at the department heads. Took some late nights, but I think this solution will significantly improve our workflow. I watch him, my expression carefully neutral, a blank canvas of intern-like deference. Inside, my blood boils, but my mind is cold, calculating. I'd already saved the email where I sent him the completed module, his reply praising my good start. I'd saved the file versions, the timestamps. This is just another entry in the rapidly growing Maxwell Ward evidence file. He catches my eye after the meeting. Good work on the preliminary research for that, Collins, he says, a condescending pat on the head. Your input was helpful in getting me started. Happy to help, Mr. Ward, I say, the picture of eager to please. He walks away, puffed up with false achievement. He thinks he's got me under his thumb, a talented but naive underling he can exploit. He has no idea that his every move is being recorded, his every lie cataloged. He's so confident in his superiority, so used to people being too intimidated or too powerless to challenge him, that he doesn't see the trap slowly closing around him. The stress of living this double life is immense. Some nights I stare at the ceiling, the weight of my knowledge, my secrets, pressing down on me. The fear of slipping up, of revealing too much, is constant. There are moments of sheer, overwhelming anger when I see Maxwell preening, taking credit for my sweat and tears, reliving the injustices that led to my first demise. But then I look at the progress bar on Aura's development. I think of the growing mountain of evidence in my secret folders, and the anger recedes, replaced by a steely resolve. Patience. This is a marathon, not a sprint, and I am prepared to run it. Maxwell is busy building his career on a foundation of my stolen work. I'm busy building my case and my future. One day he'll sign his own severance papers and my new logo will be on them. The thought almost makes me laugh out loud. Months slide by, each one a careful balancing act. My days are spent as Zara the intern, a diligent, slightly too talented cog in the Vertex machine. My nights are dedicated to Aura, which is rapidly evolving from a concept into a sleek, powerful reality. The app is everything Nova was meant to be, and more. It's intuitive, the design is seamless, and the back-end code is a work of art, if I do say so myself. It's mine. At Vertex, Maxwell grows increasingly dependent on me. The Nova project, his grand vision built on the framework of my stolen past life designs, is officially underway. And who does he turn to for every complex problem, every innovative feature? His star intern, of course. Collins, he'd bark from his office, not even bothering to use the intercom anymore. Get in here. This integration module isn't behaving. I'd walk in, feign a moment of deep thought as I looked at my own original code that he was struggling with, and then offer a suggestion. Perhaps, Mr. Ward, if you re-architected the data flow like this. I'd sketch on his whiteboard, carefully simplifying concepts I knew were beyond his actual grasp, but making it seem like a logical next step he'd almost thought of himself. He'd stare at it, a flicker of confusion in his eyes, quickly masked by a know-it-all nod. Yes, of course, precisely. I was just about to suggest that. Good to see you're catching on to my thought process, Collins. He's like a parasite, latching onto my intellect, my experience, and calling it his own. The arrogance is astounding. He genuinely believes he's leading this project, that these are his triumphs. I'm just the intern who helps with the grunt work. The documentation piles up. Emails where I outline solutions. His replies taking credit. File histories showing my contributions. My secret server is becoming a treasure trove of his incompetence and my brilliance. Liam watches all of this with a growing unease. He's too smart not to notice the discrepancy between Maxwell's proclaimed genius and his actual technical abilities. He sees me solving problems Maxwell is stumped by, sees me pulling late nights while Maxwell swans off to client meetings. You're doing a lot of the heavy lifting on Nova, aren't you? He asks one day, his voice low as we grab coffee in the break room. I shrug, trying to look nonchalant. Just trying to be helpful. Mr. Ward has a lot on his plate with the overall strategy. Liam gives me a searching look. He's lucky to have you. Some might say too lucky. The unspoken words hang in the air. He doesn't push, but a silent understanding is forming between us. He starts forgetting to CC Maxwell on emails, where he asks for my input on complex coding challenges outside of Nova, challenges that I, of course, solve with surprising alacrity. He's subtly creating a separate track record for me, one untainted by Maxwell's shadow. Chloe, my conduit to the office rumor mill, is invaluable. Big board meeting next month, she whispers to me during one of our lunch intel sessions, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of shared secrets. Maxwell's supposed to present a working demo of Nova. Apparently, CEO Thompson is breathing down his neck. He's promised them the moon with this app. A working demo? I try to sound surprised. I know the deadline. I also know that without me, Maxwell wouldn't have a single functional line of code. Yep, and word is, if it's not spectacular, heads will roll. His, specifically. She grins. Wouldn't that be a shame? The pressure on Maxwell is mounting, and he, in turn, transfers it to me. The requests become more demanding, the deadline's tighter. He's stressed, irritable, and even more prone to taking credit for every tiny step forward. One late afternoon, he calls me into his office. He's pacing, his usually immaculate hair slightly disheveled. Collins, the beta testers are reporting a major lag in the core feature, he snaps, waving a printout of bug reports. This is unacceptable. The demo is in 3 weeks. I look at the report. It's a complex issue, something I remember struggling with in my previous life before I found an elegant solution. A solution he wouldn't understand if I explained it to him directly. This is tricky, Mr. Ward, I say, feigning concern. It looks like a fundamental architectural issue. Then fix it, he almost shouts. That's what I pay you for. Well, what the company pays you for as an intern, he adds, as if remembering my lowly status. I can try, Mr. Ward, I say, but it might require a significant refactor of this module. I point to a section of code he supposedly designed. Just get it done, Collins. I don't care how. I need results. He runs a hand through his hair, the picture of a stressed executive. I spend the next 3 days struggling with the problem. I make a show of it, leaving frustrated sighs in my wake, my desk littered with decoy scribbled notes of failed attempts. Liam offers sympathetic glances. Maxwell just glares impatiently. Then, on the third day, I have a breakthrough. I present the solution to Maxwell, carefully framing it as an extension of his original vision. He barely glances at the code. Good. About time, see? I knew you could do it if you applied yourself and followed my direction. He's so relieved to have the problem solved that he doesn't even bother to understand it. He just needs the win. The successful fix further solidifies his belief in my abilities, or rather, his ability to extract work from me. He starts talking about our success with Nova, about how we are going to revolutionize the industry. The we is always him, with me as an implied, silent assistant. But the cracks in his facade are beginning to show to others, too. During one team meeting, a senior engineer, David, asks Maxwell a pointed technical question about the very module I just fixed. Maxwell fumbles, spouting jargon that sounds impressive but means nothing. His face flushes. I watch, impassive, as Liam subtly redirects the conversation, saving Maxwell from further embarrassment, but also highlighting his incompetence to everyone in the room. David catches my eye briefly, a flicker of understanding in his gaze. The seeds of doubt are sprouting. People are starting to whisper. Maxwell, blinded by his ego and the mounting pressure, doesn't see it. He only sees the approaching demo, his moment of triumph, built entirely on my unseen labor. And Aura? Aura is almost complete. It's beautiful, it's powerful, it's my masterpiece, ready to fly. While Maxwell is preparing to show off his cobbled-together Nova, I'm preparing to launch a revolution. The timeline is tight. I need Aura to be ready to launch almost immediately after Maxwell's inevitable and hopefully flawed Nova demo. The contrast will be stark. The truth will be undeniable. My secret weapon is nearly polished. My evidence locker is overflowing. My allies, witting and unwitting, are in place. The long game is approaching its climax. The intern is ready to make her move. The buzz around Vertex Innovations is palpable. CEO Thompson himself is rumored to be attending Maxwell's Nova demo. This is it, Maxwell's make-or-break moment. He's a whirlwind of nervous energy, snapping at everyone, micromanaging details he doesn't understand, and taking credit for solutions I provide at the last minute. Collins, make sure the presentation deck is flawless, he orders, handing me a USB stick. Triple-check every slide. My career is riding on this. Your career built on my stolen work, I think, but I just nod. Yes, Mr. Ward. I go through his slides. They're a testament to his narcissism. His face prominently featured, his name plastered over every achievement. My contributions are, of course, invisible. I make a few subtle improvements to the technical diagrams, making them accurate but also, to a keen eye, highlighting areas where the underlying architecture, his version, is shaky. The day of the demo, the main conference room is packed. Suits, important faces. CEO Thompson, a formidable woman with a no-nonsense aura, sits front and center. Maxwell, preening in a new suit, practically vibrates with a mixture of excitement and terror. I'm in the back, a lowly intern, ostensibly there to provide technical support. In reality, I'm there to witness his self-proclaimed coronation, or, as I hope, the first public chink in his armor. Liam gives me a reassuring nod from across the room. Chloe, positioned strategically near some department heads, gives me a tiny, almost imperceptible wink. Maxwell begins his presentation. He's slick, polished, hitting all the buzzwords. He speaks of innovation, disruption, market leadership. He paints a picture of Nova as the next big thing, all thanks to his vision and leadership. Then comes the live demo. He clicks, he narrates, he gestures. The initial screens look good. They're based on my early designs, after all. But as he delves deeper into the core functionalities, the ones he fixed and improved, with my last-minute patches, small glitches appear. A button is unresponsive for a moment. A data load is slower than expected. Minor things easily explained away as live demo gremlins, but they're there. Then, CEO Thompson asks a question, a sharp, insightful technical question about scalability, something Maxwell clearly hadn't anticipated from her. "Mr. Ward," she says, her voice cutting through the room, "you mentioned the robust back-end architecture. Can you elaborate on how Nova handles peak load scenarios, specifically concerning the real-time data synchronization you've highlighted?" Maxwell freezes for a nanosecond. His smile tightens. He launches into a jargon-filled explanation that's clearly evasive. He's using big words to hide the fact that he doesn't truly understand the system's limitations, the very limitations I'd warned him about, the ones he'd dismissed. I see David, the senior engineer, exchange a look with another tech lead. Liam keeps his face carefully neutral, but I can see the tension in his shoulders. The demo concludes with polite applause, but the undercurrent of uncertainty is there. Maxwell tries to brush off the earlier hiccups. "A few minor kinks to iron out, as expected with any revolutionary product," he says, a little too brightly. "But the core is solid, thanks to the tireless efforts of my team." He doesn't even mention me by name, even as the intern who supposedly assisted. Later that day, Chloe seeks me out. "So, what did you think?" she asks, her eyes dancing. "It was a presentation," I say, noncommittally. "Honey, it was a tap dance on a minefield," she laughs. Thompson looked like she was sucking on a lemon when he tried to bullshit his way through that scalability question. And did you see David's face? Priceless. This is where Chloe's part of the plan kicks in. She's a master of subtle suggestion, the queen of the "have you heard?" network. "It's just funny, isn't it?" Chloe says, loud enough for a few passing colleagues to overhear. Maxwell talks such a big game, but I hear that intern, Zara, is the one who's always pulling all-nighters fixing things for him. Someone said she practically rebuilt that core module last week. The whisper campaign begins. Chloe, with her impeccable social skills, plants seeds of doubt. She doesn't make direct accusations. She just asks leading questions, shares observations, and lets human nature do the rest. Stories of the brilliant intern who seems to be carrying the Nova project, contrasted with Maxwell's blustering but technically shallow presentations, start to circulate. Liam, too, plays his part, albeit more subtly. When other developers ask him about certain complex features in Nova, he'll casually say, "Oh, Zara had some really clever insights on that. You should ask her." He's redirecting technical queries to me, bypassing Maxwell, and in doing so, highlighting my competence and Maxwell's increasing irrelevance on the technical front. A few days later, David, the senior engineer who'd questioned Maxwell, stops by my desk. "Zara, right?" he says, leaning against my cubicle wall. "Got a minute?" "Sure, David." "That fix you implemented for the beta lag? That was a neat piece of work. Maxwell was a bit vague on the details. I was wondering if you could walk me through your logic." I explain the architecture, the solution, clearly and concisely. He listens intently, nodding. "That's what I thought," he says when I finish. "Much cleaner than what Maxwell was trying to describe. You've got a good head on your shoulders, Zara. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." He walks away, leaving me with a small smile. The cracks are widening. People are noticing. They're starting to see past Maxwell's polished veneer. The timing is perfect. Aura is ready. I've secured a small private server. I've designed a simple, elegant website. I've even created a logo, a stylized phoenix rising from flames, a symbol of my own rebirth and the reclaiming of my work. It's bold, and it's mine. While Maxwell is busy fighting fires, trying to patch the increasingly apparent flaws in his version of Nova, and dealing with the fallout from his less-than-stellar demo, I am preparing to launch Aura. The Whisper campaign is creating a narrative of a brilliant intern whose talents are being exploited. Soon, they'll see just how brilliant. The stage is set for the final act. The week after Maxwell's shaky Nova demo, I execute the next phase of my plan. It's late on a Friday night. The Vertex office is dark and silent. From the relative anonymity of my dorm room, with its flickering fluorescent light and the comforting hum of my laptop, I launch Aura. There's no fanfare, no big marketing budget. I submit it to a few influential tech blogs and indie app review sites. the kind that pride themselves on discovering hidden gems. I post about it on niche developer forums using a simple professional pseudonym, Phoenix Labs, with my newly designed Phoenix logo. The website is minimalist, showcasing Aura's clean interface and highlighting its innovative features with short, compelling video clips. I let the product speak for itself. Then I wait. The weekend is a knot of anxiety and anticipation. I barely sleep, constantly refreshing my email and the forum pages. By Monday morning, the first review drops. Aura, the app you didn't know you needed but won't be able to live without. The reviewer praises its intuitive design, lightning-fast performance, and a level of polish rarely seen in an initial release. My heart does a little flip, then another and another. Phoenix Labs Aura is a masterclass in user experience. Move over, clunky apps. Aura is here to steal the show. The tech corners of the internet start to buzz. Who is Phoenix Labs? How did this incredibly sophisticated app appear out of nowhere? Back at Vertex on Monday, the atmosphere is tense. Maxwell is still trying to manage the fallout from his demo. He's delegated tasks to fix Nova's glaring issues, mostly to me and a few other bewildered developers who are struggling to make sense of his convoluted and often contradictory directions. It's Liam who finds Aura first. He walks over to my cubicle mid-morning, his face pale, holding his phone. "Zara," he says, his voice barely above a whisper, "have you seen this?" He shows me a screen. It's one of the glowing reviews for Aura. I feign mild curiosity. "Oh, what is it?" "It's an app, Aura. It's remarkable." He looks from the phone screen to me, a dawning, incredulous expression in his eyes. "Some of the features, the UI flow, it's incredibly similar to the concepts you were proposing for Nova, the ones Maxwell shot down or said he'd evaluate later." I meet his gaze, keeping my own carefully neutral. "Really? That's a coincidence." Liam isn't buying it. He's too smart. He opens Aura on his phone and navigates through it, his jaw practically hitting the floor. "Coincidence? Zara, this is not a coincidence. This is what Nova should have been. It's brilliant. Who made this?" Before I can answer, David, the senior engineer, appears at Liam's shoulder, drawn by our hushed, intense conversation. "What's up, guys?" Liam shows him Aura. David's reaction is identical. Shock, then awe, then a slow, dawning understanding. "I just read about this on TechCrunch," David says. "They're calling it a game changer. Phoenix Labs. Never heard of them. But whoever they are, they're geniuses." He looks at me, a long, searching look. "Zara, this is uncanny." The whispers that Chloe started now have a new, more potent fuel. "Have you seen Aura?" becomes the question on everyone's lips in the tech department. They download it, they play with it, they compare it to the clunky, glitchy Nova prototype they're all struggling to fix. The contrast is stark, undeniable. The comments on the internal Vertex chat channels become less guarded. "Wow, this Aura app is everything we've been trying to build. The design is so clean. Why can't Nova be like this?" "Someone at Phoenix Labs clearly knows what they're doing. Wish they worked here." One brave soul even posts, "Is it just me, or does Aura feel like all of Zara's best ideas for Nova, but actually implemented properly?" That comment gets deleted by a nervous manager within minutes, but not before dozens have seen it. Maxwell, cocooned in his office, trying to spin yarns to upper management about Nova's imminent readiness after minor refinements, is initially oblivious. He's too busy deflecting blame and issuing orders. It's Chloe who delivers the news to him in her own inimitable way. She accidentally leaves a printout of a particularly glowing Aura review on the shared printer in the executive suite, right where Maxwell will see it when he picks up his urgent reports. I'm at my desk trying to concentrate on a pointless debugging task for Nova when I hear it, a roar of pure, unadulterated fury from Maxwell's office. It's a sound I've never heard from him before, not even in my past life. This isn't his usual condescending anger. This is something raw, threatened. A moment later, his door slams open. He storms out, his face a mask of thunder, the crumpled Aura review clutched in his fist. His eyes scan the department and lock onto me. "Collins, my office now?" This is it. The confrontation I've been preparing for 5 long years. I take a deep breath, close my files, and rise. Every head in the department turns to watch. There's a mixture of fear, curiosity, and for some, like Liam and David, a glint of something that looks like supportive anticipation. As I walk towards his office, I feel a strange calmness settle over me. The intern is gone. Zara Collins, CEO of Phoenix Labs, even if no one knows it yet, is here. The moment I step into Maxwell's office, he slams the door behind me. The sound reverberates in the small space. He's pacing like a caged animal, his face flushed a dangerous shade of red. "What is this?" he snarls, shoving the crumpled review towards my face. "Aura! Phoenix Labs! Don't play dumb with me, Collins!" I look at the review, then back at him, and my expression calm. "It appears to be a review for a new app, Mr. Ward." "A new app?" He laughs, a harsh, grating sound. "It's Nova. It's my project. You stole it. You, a sniveling little intern, you stole my intellectual property." I raise an eyebrow. The sheer audacity is almost comical. "Your intellectual property, Mr. Ward? That's a serious accusation." "Damn right, it's serious." He's practically spitting with rage. "I poured years into Nova, my vision, my design, and you, working on it day in and day out, you just copied everything and released it yourself." "Actually," I say, my voice even and steady, "I believe you'll find that Aura is quite different from the current iteration of Nova. Superior, in fact. And as for who owns the intellectual property..." I pause, letting the suspense hang in the air. This is the moment. "What are you babbling about?" he demands. "I have records, Mr. Ward, meticulous records." His eyes narrow. "Records? What records?" "Records of my work on Aura, which began long before I was assigned to the Nova project under your guidance." I reach into my satchel, the same one I carried on my first day, and pull out a sleek black flash drive. This contains the complete codebase for Aura with version control history, time-stamped commits, and detailed design documents, all predating their supposed counterparts in Nova. Maxwell stares at the flash drive as if it's a venomous snake. That's impossible. You fabricated it." "Did I?" I continue, my voice gaining strength. "It also contains copies of every email exchange between us, Mr. Ward. Every suggestion I made, which then miraculously appeared in Nova under your name. Every piece of code I wrote, which you then presented as your own. Every late night I spent fixing your mistakes on my original concepts." His bluster begins to falter. A flicker of fear, real fear, crosses his face. "This is slander. I'll have you fired. I'll sue you for everything you're worth." He sputters, but his voice lacks its earlier conviction. "Sue me?" I almost laugh. "Mr. Ward, you seem to be confused about who is the victim here. I am the creator of Aura. The concepts you've been trying to implement in Nova, many of them originated with me during my previous tenure at another company before Vertex even conceived of Nova. That last part is a carefully crafted half-truth, designed to further muddy the waters for him and protect my rebirth secret." "Previous tenure? What are you talking about?" He's grasping at straws now. "What I'm talking about, Mr. Ward, is that you are the one who has been systematically stealing my work, passing it off as your own, and building your career on a foundation of lies." My voice is cold now, devoid of any of the feigned deference I'd shown him for months. "You didn't mentor me. You exploited me. You thought I was just a naive intern you could use and discard." He opens his mouth, then closes it again. For the first time since I've known him, in either life, Maxwell Ward is speechless. The color drains from his face. He knows. He knows I have him. "I also have detailed logs of your access to my development files for Nova, often right before you'd present a new feature." I press on. "And witness testimonies are easy enough to gather. Liam, David, even Chloe, they've all seen your methods." The fight visibly goes out of him. He sinks into his expensive leather chair, the one that always creaked under his authority. Now it seems to swallow him. He looks small, deflated. "What do you want, Collins?" he finally whispers, his voice hoarse. "What I want, Mr. Ward, is for the truth to come out. I want credit for my work, and I want Vertex Innovations to understand who the real innovator is and who is the fraud." Just then, there's a knock on the door. Before Maxwell can answer, it opens and CEO Thompson walks in, flanked by Liam and the head of HR, Miss Albright. Liam had clearly anticipated this confrontation and escalated it. "Mr. Ward, Miss Collins," CEO Thompson says, her expression unreadable. "It seems we have a serious matter to discuss." Maxwell looks up, a hunted animal caught in a trap. My calm, steady gaze meets CEO Thompson's. The game is far from over, but the balance of power has just irrevocably shifted. The emergency meeting is convened in the main boardroom, the same room where Maxwell had fumbled through his Nova demo just days earlier. The atmosphere now is thick, with unspoken accusations and a heavy, corporate dread. CEO Thompson sits at the head of the table, flanked by Miss Albright from HR and Vertex's chief legal counsel. Maxwell sits hunched on one side, looking like a man who'd aged a decade in an hour. I sit opposite him, Liam by my side, a quiet pillar of support. David has also been called in, presumably as a technical expert. "All right," CEO Thompson begins, her voice crisp and authoritative. "Miss Albright has briefed me on some extremely serious allegations of intellectual property theft and misconduct. Mr. Ward, Miss Collins, I want to hear both sides clearly and concisely." Maxwell starts, his voice shaky but attempting its old bluster. He paints a picture of a disgruntled intern, jealous of his success, who maliciously copied his work and launched a rival app to sabotage him. He talks about his years of dedication to Vertex, his vision for Nova. He calls Aura a cheap imitation. It's a desperate, rambling defense full of holes and self-pity. He carefully avoids addressing the specifics of my evidence. When it's my turn, I am calm. I lay out the facts, supported by the contents of the flash drive, which is now projected onto the large screen at the end of the boardroom. "CEO Thompson, members of the board," I begin. "I am the founder of Phoenix Labs and the sole creator of the app Aura. The evidence clearly shows that Aura's core architecture and key features were developed by me, with time-stamped code commits and design documents that predate their appearance in Vertex's Nova project." I walk them through it. The side-by-side comparisons of code snippets. Aura's clearly predating Nova's. The email chains where I propose solutions to Maxwell, followed by his emails to the team claiming those solutions as his own breakthroughs. The version history of Aura showing its steady, independent development over months. I even include a few of Maxwell's more damning internal presentations, where my early-stage Nova mock-ups, the ones he stole in my past life and I re-fed him in this one, are presented under his name, with dates that conveniently align after my documented work on Aura's similar components. David is asked to review some of the technical evidence. He examines the code, the commit logs. "The evidence presented by Miss Collins is compelling from a technical standpoint," David states, his voice neutral but firm. "The version history for Aura is consistent and shows a clear development trajectory. There are undeniable similarities in some of Nova's modules, which appeared later in Nova's timeline than in Aura's." Maxwell tries to interject, to bluster, but CEO Thompson silences him with a sharp look. "Mr. Ward," she says, her voice dangerously quiet. "The preliminary findings from our internal tech audit, prompted by certain anomalies in the Nova project's progress reports, also seem to corroborate Miss Collins's timeline regarding her contributions and your oversight." So they already suspected something was amiss. My whisper campaign, Liam's subtle diversions, and Maxwell's own incompetence had laid the groundwork. Miss Albright then speaks about company policy, ethics, and the potential legal ramifications for Vertex if my claims are true, and Maxwell has indeed built a key company project on stolen IP, especially IP that now belongs to an external entity, Phoenix Labs. The words lawsuit, reputational damage, and breach of contract hang heavy in the air. The legal counsel asks me pointed questions about Phoenix Labs, its ownership, my intentions. I answer truthfully, it's my company, Aura is my product, and I intend to compete fairly in the marketplace. I make no demands of Vertex other than the truth about Nova's origins be acknowledged. The questioning goes on for what feels like hours. Maxwell crumbles under the scrutiny. His lies become more transparent, his denials weaker. He has no evidence, only bluster and a history of taking credit. I have a mountain of irrefutable proof. Finally, CEO Thompson holds up a hand. "I think we have enough information for now. Mr. Ward, Miss Collins, you will be excused. We will deliberate and inform you of our decision. Waiting outside the boardroom, the silence is deafening. Liam gives my arm a supportive squeeze. You did it, Zara. You told the truth. I nod, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. It's not over yet, but the hardest part, the unveiling, is done. An hour later, Miss Albright calls us back in. Maxwell is already there, looking utterly defeated. CEO Thompson's face is stern. After careful consideration of the evidence presented and our own internal findings, Vertex Innovations has reached a decision. She looks directly at Maxwell. Mr. Ward, your employment with Vertex Innovations is terminated, effective immediately for gross misconduct, misrepresentation of work, and actions that have exposed this company to significant legal and reputational risk. Maxwell stares, aghast. Terminated? You can't. Security will escort you from the premises, Mr. Ward, Miss Albright says coolly. Your severance package will be minimal, pending further legal review of the damages you may have caused this company. He looks like he's about to argue, then he sees the resolve in Thompson's eyes, the cold finality. He deflates, all the fight gone. He's escorted out, a broken man, his career in ruins. The man who had ruined my first life and tried to ruin my second. Then CEO Thompson turns to me. Her expression softens, just a fraction. Miss Collins, Zara, your actions in bringing this to light, while unorthodox, have saved this company from a much larger disaster down the line. Your talent is undeniable, as is your fortitude. She pauses. The Nova project, as it stands, is clearly compromised. However, Vertex Innovations still needs a flagship product in that space. Aura is, by all accounts, that product. My heart begins to pound. Phoenix Labs is your company, she continues. Vertex Innovations would like to propose an acquisition, or, at the very least, a strategic partnership with you at the helm of this product line, naturally with full credit and appropriate compensation. I look at her, the CEO who Maxwell had tried to fool. She's offering me everything I'd lost and more, on my terms. A slow smile spreads across my face. CEO Thompson, I say, let's talk about a partnership. I have a few ideas for Aura 2.0 already. A few weeks later, the paperwork is finalized. Vertex isn't acquiring Phoenix Labs outright. I wasn't willing to give up my baby completely. But we've forged a lucrative, high-profile partnership. Aura, powered by Phoenix Labs, will be integrated into Vertex's product suite. I am no longer an intern. I am a strategic partner, a recognized innovator. The day Maxwell's final termination papers need a counter-signature from my new liaison department at Vertex, they land on my new, much larger desk. It's a standard form detailing his dismissal. At the bottom, there's a space for a company representative to sign off. My contact, a VP who now treats me with considerable respect, asks if I'd like to handle it, a small, symbolic gesture. I pick up my pen, and with a flourish, I sign my name. Zara Collins. And right below it, almost as an afterthought, I sketch the small, unmistakable logo of Phoenix Labs, the phoenix rising. The irony isn't lost on me. He once called me intern. Now I'm signing off on his failure with the emblem of my triumph. The months following Maxwell's spectacular implosion are a whirlwind. Phoenix Labs, once just a name on my secret server and a logo in my sketchbook, becomes a tangible reality. We start small, of course. My dorm room quickly proves inadequate, with a modest advance from the Vertex partnership and a small business loan I secure with a surprisingly robust business plan. 5 years of forced pre-planning has its advantages. I lease a small, bright office space downtown. It's nothing like the sterile monolith of Vertex Tower. It has exposed brick, oversized windows, and an air of creative chaos that feels like home. Liam is the first person I hire. He resigns from Vertex the day after my boardroom battle, walking out with a grin that stretches from ear to ear. Couldn't stand another day pretending Maxwell knew what he was doing, he'd said, shaking his head. Besides, I want to work with the real genius behind Aura. He becomes my head of engineering, my sounding board, my trusted right hand. His quiet integrity and brilliant coding skills are finally given the recognition they deserve. There's no more looking over his shoulder, no more having his ideas dismissed or stolen. We're partners, building something amazing from the ground up. Chloe, true to her nature, leverages the entire situation beautifully. She becomes Phoenix Labs' freelance PR and marketing consultant. Her network is unparalleled, and she spins the story of Aura and its mysterious, brilliant founder, initially me, still slightly veiled, into a legend. She ensures that the tech world knows Aura isn't just another app, it's a testament to innovation and, implicitly, a quiet victory over corporate stagnation. She still thrives on the inside scoop, but now her loyalty is firmly with Phoenix Labs, and her talents help us soar. She even manages to get me a feature in a leading tech magazine. The Intern Who Rewrote the Rules. The title makes me smirk. My relationship with Vertex transforms. I'm no longer Zara Collins' intern. I'm Miss Collins, CEO of Phoenix Labs, a key strategic partner. I attend board meetings, the same ones Maxwell used to dominate with his bluster, and my input is sought, respected. CEO Thompson, true to her word, treats me as an equal. There's a professional courtesy, a recognition of talent that was so sorely lacking before. Sometimes during those high-level strategy sessions, I catch myself looking at the empty chair where Maxwell used to sit, and a sense of profound, almost unbelievable vindication washes over me. Developing Aura 2.0 is an exhilarating experience. There are no layers of bureaucracy, no ego-driven managers to placate. Just me, Liam, and a small, hand-picked team of bright, passionate developers, some of whom we poach from Vertex, much to their relief. Brainstorming, coding, creating. We innovate at a speed that would have given the old Vertex heart palpitations. The ideas flow freely, and the energy in our little office is electric. We're not just building an app, we're building a culture, one of respect, collaboration, and genuine passion for the work. As for Maxwell Ward, his downfall is swift and absolute. News of his termination for gross misconduct spreads like wildfire through the industry. His reputation is in tatters. Chloe occasionally forwards me snippets from industry forums or LinkedIn Maxwell struggling to find new employment, his attempts to rebrand himself failing spectacularly. There's no triumph in hearing it, not anymore. Just a quiet sense of an inevitable consequence. He built his career on a foundation of deceit, and like any poorly constructed building, it was bound to collapse. He is a footnote in my story now, a reminder of the past I overcame, not a shadow that lingers. The weight of my secret, the rebirth, the 5 years of foreknowledge is still there, a constant companion. Some days it feels like a superpower, others like a heavy cloak. I can't share it with anyone, not even Liam, who probably suspects I'm more than just a fast learner. But it's the engine that drove me, the catalyst for this second, better life. It forced me to be meticulous, strategic, brave. There are days when the stress of running a company, of being responsible for my team, feels overwhelming. But then, I look around our vibrant office, at the focused faces of my colleagues, at the elegant lines of code Liam is reviewing, at the Phoenix logo proudly displayed on our wall. And I remember how far I've come. From a dismissed intern, dying on a rain-slick street, to this. The journey has been surreal, terrifying, and ultimately incredibly empowering, 1 year later. It's a crisp autumn afternoon, much like the day I first walked into Vertex with a heart full of naive hope. Today, however, I'm not walking into Vertex as an intern. I'm walking onto the stage of the industry's largest tech conference as a keynote speaker. Phoenix Labs is a certified success story. Aura and its subsequent versions have dominated the market, lauded for their innovation and user-centric design. Our partnership with Vertex is thriving, a model of how established corporations and agile startups can create something extraordinary together. My hands are a little clammy as I adjust the microphone. Looking out at the sea of faces, aspiring developers, seasoned executives, tech journalists, I feel a flicker of the old nervousness, quickly replaced by a quiet confidence. My presentation isn't just about Aura's success. It's about the journey, about the ethics of innovation, about the importance of recognizing and nurturing talent, wherever you find it. I don't mention Maxwell by name. I don't need to. The story speaks for itself. True innovation, I say, my voice clear and steady, isn't about taking credit. It's about creating value. It's about empowering your team, fostering a culture where ideas can breathe, and always, always acting with integrity. After the keynote, as I'm mobbed by well-wishers and aspiring entrepreneurs, a young woman approaches me, her eyes wide with a familiar mixture of awe and nervousness. She's an intern at a big tech firm, she tells me, and she has an idea. Miss Collins, she begins, I have this concept for an app, but my manager, he doesn't really listen. I see my past self in her, the hopeful, talented young woman, on the verge of being dismissed or exploited. I smile, a genuine, warm smile. Tell me about it, I say, guiding her to a quieter corner. And please call me Zara. I listen intently to her idea. It's rough, unpolished, but there's a spark of brilliance there. I offer her advice, encouragement, and my card. Don't let anyone silence your voice, I tell her. Your ideas have value. Protect them. Fight for them. And if you need someone to listen, really listen, my door is always open. It feels like a full circle moment. I can't give her a second chance at life, but I can offer her the support and mentorship I never received in my first one. That, I realize, is part of what this second life is for. Later that week, back at the Phoenix Labs office, Liam and I are sketching out plans for Aura 3.0. Our team has grown. The office is bigger now, still with the exposed brick, but with more laughter, more energy. We've built something truly special. You know, Liam says, looking up from the whiteboard, a thoughtful expression on his face. I still don't know how you did it, Zara, how you knew so much, so fast, right from the start. How you anticipated Maxwell's every move. I just smile. Let's just say I had a very thorough preparation period. He shakes his head, a grin playing on his lips. Well, however you did it, I'm glad you're here. We all are. The truth of my rebirth remains my secret, a silent current beneath the surface of my life. It's a reminder that life can be fragile, that opportunities can be lost, but also that second chances, in whatever form they take, are precious gifts. I didn't just reclaim my work, I reclaimed my life, my voice, my power. I learned that true strength isn't about avoiding a fall, it's about how you rise. And rise I did, like the phoenix on my logo, from the ashes of a past life into a future I designed myself. The city lights sparkle outside my office window, no longer a blur of rain and despair, but a panorama of promise. The future of Phoenix Labs is bright. My future is bright. I finally understand that this second chance wasn't just about correcting an injustice. It was about building something better, something lasting, something that was truly, authentically mine. And as I look out at the sprawling city, I know, with a certainty that settles deep in my bones, that this is just the beginning. The intern is long gone, the CEO is here to stay, and she's just getting started.